guys watching the live lecture. Alrighty, pretty interesting, right? Hold on. What did I just do? So I encourage you guys to watch videos first of all. Hopefully you guys saw that. I think. If not, I will be very, very upset. But I think you guys actually saw that. So yeah, man. Apple seems like when you look at a situation like in Apple's case with the car, seemed like they lost direction. Seemed like they weren't clear with their intentions. And a lot of times when you're in business, if you're not clear with your intentions and you're being more reactional to what other people are doing in the market, you are going to suffer with something like that. And what that means basically is, hold on, I don't even think I'm sharing this with you guys. Is basically you're going to be playing catch up. You're not intentional about your strategy. You're more, like I said, reactional to whatever they do. And whenever you're in a situation where you're more reactional to what someone else does in the market, right? What's your strategy? What are you actually doing? That's the question you have to ask yourself. What am I actually doing? What's my purpose, right? What's the point? So when we look at goods, you have products and services, right? Products are actually physical, tangible things that you can really possess. Services are a little bit different, right? Those are intangibles. Those go away. There's nothing concrete that you hold on to. So I'll show you guys the definition, not that you can't see this, but a product is a good or service idea consisting of a bundle of tangible and intangible attributes. And that's a really important point to the intangible attributes, because the intangible attributes, what's going to happen with the intangible attributes is this is what your preferences come in, right? What does it actually mean to you? What are some of the things that people can't really put a finger on but actually have value to you as a consumer, right? So services, again, are the intangible activities or benefits that an organization provides to satisfy consumer needs in exchange for money and or something else of value. And goods can be separated into two different categories. They can be separated into durable and non-durable goods, and then you have ideas. I'll show you guys a small video on IDEO, which actually discusses the whole idea of brainstorming. So we have a few different type of products. When we look at consumer products, we have convenience products, which are purchased pretty frequently. Those are your chewing gums. Those are your toilet papers. Your sodas, perhaps drinks, or whatever the case may be. And then you have shopping products. And shopping products are things where you do a comparison. Perhaps it's a vacuum cleaner or refrigerator or something to that effect. You're doing something like that, and then you do more of a comparison. It's more of a, as they describe it in consumer behavior, more of a, I don't want to say high involvement, but kind of between the low involvement and high involvement products. Specialty products, you put in an effort to actually search or buy. This perhaps may be your eBay products. It may be specific items for your vehicle or anything like that. And then you have unsought products, items that the consumer does not know about. So in this case, let me share something with you guys real quick. I'm sorry. What's the company called? I want to say it is Bloomingdale's. Is it their Christmas catalog? I want to say Christmas catalog. It's not Bloomingdale's. It is, Hold on, let me try to figure it out. It's the Christmas Neiman Marcus. There it goes. So the Neiman Marcus, they have fantasy. Let me see if they got the 2024. Yeah, and this is probably what I'll say. I don't know if they got it yet. No, I'll show you 2023. Crazy. These are what they call fantasy gifts. So these are products that you would consider unsought, right? And they range, right? So they range from, in this case, the fantasy gifts start off with what is this, a $510,000 gift experience, animation experience, so Disney fairy tale, opportunity to be transformed to an anime character. Oh, they'll create you as an animated character in a Disney flick. Or you could travel to the Olympics with Team Ralph Lauren in USA. Go for the gold for $210,000. You can go on a yachting treasure hunt through the Indonesia for $485,000. Digit sparkling reward. What is this? Canes and carrots. I know at one time you could play Scottie Pippen and his son or something like that for $300,000. I think it was last year. Something crazy. But these are what's considered unsought products. So when you're thinking about products that consumers don't, how many of us knew about those things? I know I sure didn't. But if you have the financial wherewithal, then perhaps you may be exposed to things like that. So if we were to look in terms of the consider the marketing mix, the 4Ps, in addition to brand loyalty and also consumer behavior or behaviors of consumers, however you like to qualify it. This really, I'm trying to move this thing. I can't see. When you look at the different types of product, right? So if you were to look at a product, convenience, toothpaste, cake, hand soap, ATM, shopping product, you're starting to see it get more expensive. And then also, I'm sorry. I don't even know why I put unsought product, because that's not necessarily what it is. I wouldn't categorize them as being unsought. I would more categorize them as being unique and different, right? So I not necessarily unsought, but yeah, because clearly they're talking about burial insurance and other things that are necessary, but not necessarily something you want to buy, etc. But looking at the place in terms of where they're distributed, price is also a really important point. When you look at the difference between convenience products and also fairly expensive, right? Shopping products going to be that, which is going to require a little bit more effort in terms of the thought process. Specialty product, also usually very expensive, requires a little bit more effort. So when you look at the brand loyalty, will not accept substitutes for specialty products. You're not accepting that. It's usually generally a brand thing. Moving on. Oh, come on, son. Oh, why it's not working? There it goes. So business products, we have those. Those are classified a little bit different. Now, business products, you're going to be looking at kind of how Google Glass made the transition from a consumer-based product to more of a B2B product, right? And when you look at the definition here, you can see mainly B2B products, industrial products. So we look at a term called derived demand, right? And derived demand basically says as one particular industry increases, it may increase demand for it may be a raw material, something like that. So for instance, like as we use more and more cell phones, our dependence on lithium is going to increase, right? So the demand for lithium is going to increase. The demand for maybe perhaps these certain type of screens are going to increase. Components also too. When you think about the manufacturing of, say, for instance, a cell phone or perhaps a vehicle, there are a lot of moving parts. There are a lot of different manufacturers that create and contribute to that overall. Installations, accessory equipment, supplies, industrial services. When you look at somebody like a Grainger or a Uline, they usually have a lot of these products that are kind of support products, for lack of a better word. And if you are in a position of where you're like a GM or a Ford, where you have these things and you stick them with a certain line, this can make or break a company. Companies can be built off of just selling accessories to large manufacturers. So the product class or industry is something that you could do. Different forms exist within a product class. So when you look at the music industry or the MP, now I would say it's a little bit limited, right? Because mainly MP3s, right, or digital formats. There are some that are staying traditional to the vinyl. I get that. But for the most part, they are moving towards the digital formats. So when you're looking at product items, that's a certain brand, size, etc., and price, right? And it's usually kept by a SKU or a stock keeping unit, right? So you'll look at the different types of SKUs or how many different products are actually in a store. That's basically your each one of them has their own separate SKU. Now you may have 5 or 6 of them, but they all have the same SKU. So a product line is a group of product or service that are closely related because they satisfy a class of needs. Are also the same customer group distributed throughout the same outlets within a given price range. You guys can read that. That was extra long, almost unnecessary. But it does what it does do is allows you to find complementary items, right? If there's a certain product line that maybe, I don't know, football, maybe somebody like a Rydell or whatever the case may sell helmets, pads, in addition to other things as well. Now your product mix is going to be a little bit different. That's all the different product lines offered by organizations. So when we look at a Pepsi or a Coca-Cola, they may have a beverage line, but if you look at their entire product mix, it's made up of snacks, it's made up of other things as well. So this is crapola. It's cranberry, apple, and granola or something like that, but it's basically a I don't know if we want to go to the website. We can look at it, man. Why not? So they're called Brainstorm Bakery because crapola wasn't going to work. I'm gonna tell you that right now. Brainstorm Bakery, crapola sounds crazy, right? But this is the company. So this is them. And they have a whole unique story about him. The guy, he's pretty cool. He's got, I wonder if they're up in Washington. Where is this? Oh, they're in Minnesota. Okay, makes sense. I knew they were somewhere close to some lakes. But yeah, man, this is what's going on here. So what do you guys think in terms of their ingredients? Basically, they give you all the ingredients in terms of crapola. The name is just hilarious to me. But you guys can't see it. I'm sorry. Here you go. So here's the products. They're called Brainstorm Bakery now, which is cool. I think it's a lot better. And these are their products. $5.95. You get 12 ounce, which isn't bad. They got 9 reviews. And that's the thing. You would think, they're in these books, and you would think just reviews are hard to get, man. No question, man. They are very, very difficult to achieve. No question. All right, back to the lecture. Move on from crapola. So when we look at newness compared to existing products, a lot of times just think of video games. This is a great example of video games, Madden or whatever. Usually it's not that much different, right? The new Madden may have one particular feature different. The hit stick may be different, or the tackling something different, and they can say new, right? So if a product is functionally different from existing products, it's new. Revolutionary newness can create new industries, smartphone and apps, right? And we could think of other industries you created, right? Not only smartphones, but smart speakers, things like that can also be created as well. So when we look at the feature bloat, unnecessary features and functions, this happens a lot. And this usually happens, the way I used to describe it is that this usually happens when nerds have too much time talking to each other and they develop products specifically for each other. Oh man, this would be cool, as opposed to testing the market and looking and perhaps surveying potential customers and seeing if they're okay with this feature. Would they pay for this feature? Would I add this feature to the product, or would it make it unnecessary? And a lot of times that happens with not only phones but computers, other things as well, where it's unnecessary bloated features. You don't necessarily need them. So a lot of times it's a much better situation to find that sweet spot to where you add enough features to your particular product to where it's not too complicated. Because keep in mind, the more difficult it is to process, the more difficult a product is to play with, the less likely people are going to play with it. So newness from a consumer's perspective. Hold on one second. hold on. No, I don't need that. You have a few different situations. There's a gentleman, I forget what his name, he talks about continuous innovation. Continuous innovation is basically just constantly innovating, trying to make the product better, right? Dynamically continuous innovation is innovating in real time, right, as it's going on. And then you have discontinuous innovation, which is obviously as such, right? But the dynamically continuous innovation, that's a really difficult thing to do because you're innovating in almost in real time for the most part. Oh, it's not working. Hold on, let me see. All right. So when we look at um, the definitions, we can see right there, requires no new learning by consumers. Um, Let me just do this over again. Let me see. Hold on. No. I'm not switching. Sorry. I was going to use a different example, but no. I'll leave it at that. So it requires no new learning by consumers. Dynamic continuous innovation disrupts their normal routine, but does not require no new learning. So it can be where in a situation where, hold on, let me start this over again. Yes. Start from chapter 1 all over again. This is the part about being a professor, man. This is crazy, man. This is a different mode for me. And I'm showing you guys just a complete 360 of what I got going on. So let's see. Let me exit out in the meeting for all. Try this again. Let's see my meeting. Let's start it. Alrighty, welcome. This is going to be our supplemental um, lecture because I will not be in class on Wednesday. So this will be what we'll actually see up until then. You guys could use this as a resource for the actual exam. You will need to read, though. I encourage you guys to do that. Do not read. So we'll be talking about developing products and services, which are super interesting. We'll go over, watch a video on Apple, which is going to be good as well in terms of where they missed in terms of that Apple car, because they did miss. And let's see. All right, let's get started. So my other audience, you guys can see, this is what we got going today. So it's cool. Well, stay tuned for that. Trying to give you guys more content. Alrighty, so let's go ahead and get started, you guys. Do that over again. Oh man, I think I messed it up. All right, professors in the house, let's go. All right, thank you guys for joining me. This is chapter 10. We'll be talking about products and services. Really good chapter. It's going to be fun. Let me get back to that so I can show you guys exactly what I'd like you to see. So I'll go over what we plan on accomplishing today. We'll look at our learning objectives, which would be recognize the terms pertaining to products and services. Identify the ways in which consumers and products and services can be classified. So we'll look at that. Explain the significance of newness. Also describe the factors contributing to the success and failure of new products or services. Explain the purposes of each step in new product development. How in the world are people being successful with developing new products, man? It's very expensive to do. Who has been the poster child of it? Apple. And when we look at Apple, we always, what we recency bias, we always focus on the most recent, which is usually whatever, right? The most successful things. And we can even, I would say, I would even go so far as to say the whatever the visual one that's supposed to compete with Oculus, I wouldn't say that was success. Most of the people returned it once the window was coming up for return. At least the influencers did. So you can look at the Apple successes: the iPod, the iPhone, which was massive, the iPad, which was massive as well. The watch was a big deal. The AirTags are huge, and then also the AirPods are a big deal. Now, what they failed at, and Steve Jobs was definitely in the house during his time, is during the uh, I would say the 80s. You could see their track record wasn't that great. The hockey puck mouse failed. And then also, hey, what happened to the Apple car? Let's take a look and see what happened to them. So if you look at the Apple car, what killed it? So yeah, man, I'm doing a lecture right now, you guys, man. It's for my students at one of my classes. So this right here, I'm showing a video about Apple. We're talking about new product development and also successes and failures. And a lot of times we make the assumption that Apple was successful with everything they've done, which isn't always the case. In this case, they were a little bit late to what they were doing, and they weren't necessarily had an intentional strategy. They were kind of modeling themselves after either going after Tesla or going after Google with the automated flow. So good stuff, man. How you guys doing? Because I got a video playing. I played this video, so I'm tapping in with my audience over here, just making sure you guys are cool. Been a while, man. A lot of stuff been going on, man. Making sure that everything is intact, especially up here, because you will be tested, man. I thought about even tapping out of this stuff. Like, what am I doing here, man? Should I make videos anymore or what? Because it's hard, man. You put your work in. You think you got content, and then like I've seen the movie American Fiction, right? And I've seen just watching American Fiction, and then also just looking at who else was I looking at? Charleston White. And one of the things that I've learned is that with those two primary examples, one, y'all don't want to hear that shit. There's a few of you guys want to hear about being successful. The rest of them want to hear some straight whack bullshit. Period. Some stuff that sounds really good. Like I always keep joking like I need a gimmick. I need a really big beard, a really big chain, an afro, something that makes me stand out, right? Because that's the type of world we live in today. And I don't want to sound like I'm jaded or anything like that, because that's not the case. I'm just like, look at that, man. There's literally, and I know things happen just like that. But I've been at this shit since 2010. That's 14 years on YouTube, homie. You feel what I'm saying? A long time of grinding, man. And I've seen Kai, like, dude, Kai Cenat like that. And he got, like, you start thinking, like, I need all this stuff. Like, no, you don't. You just need to be consistent, homie. Just show up, find out when your people are watching, or find out when they can pick it up and put it down. So be it, man. But other than that, what else can you do? You can try to keep developing content. You can make it a, because you don't know when God's going to strike, homie. So you got to just be in a position where you're constantly developing stuff over and over again. So I said, man, shit, if I'm teaching these classes, I might as well teach y'all too. So the homies tap in. Every time I do a lecture at the house, or every time I do a particular subject, this subject is on new product development. This is great for the homies, I would think. Now, if I came up with, let's say, How about how to get 2 extra ounces off of every 4.5? I can show you guys the recipe. Come back and I'm gonna show you the pots and everything. That's do we got to do. I hope we ain't got to go there, homie. I hope we ain't got to go there. I hope we focusing on elevating from this standpoint, man. Being upward mobile, meaning that we could take ourselves from anywhere and go anywhere in life. That's the key right now. So I don't want to have to come up with gimmicks. Don't make me grow a beard, homie. Don't make me go Charleston White on y'all, because Charleston White used to be a stand-up dude. He still is. But what he did was he was like, y'all ain't listening to me. So the mic and the lens that I'm talking through, you ain't hearing me, homie. You guys want to hear other stuff. You don't want to hear that. You want to hear other stuff, right? And I'm like, come on. Why you want to do that? Because it's easy to digest. This stuff is difficult. The stuff I'm talking about is complicated. Like American Fiction. He was writing in a language that was too high. He had to tone it down. I'm like, man, I got to do that, homie. Is that what I have to do? I guess so, man. Do I got to come up with foolery in order to make it attractive? Do I got to put a pimp hat on and talk real slick? Today I got a message for you. Don't trust nobody. Like, man, I don't want to do that shit. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to be that. You feel what I'm saying? But I guess if you want success, you got to kind of bend until they start to bend towards you. I ain't with that shit, homie. I got better things to do. Like I said, I feel like I could give you guys more by teaching you the same thing I'm teaching these people. Or at least you can ear hustle on my lectures. Right? It may not be relevant right now, but they're talking about some real interesting stuff, and I try to put it together, man. This is Professor Cofield, aka the host of Drug Dealers to Businessmen. So I'll be trying to come back as much as I can and kind of like, hey man, this is what I'm about to go do right now. This is what I'm about to go do right now, and see what happens, man. Because I think, the trials and tribulations, when you talk about them online, don't really I don't want to say they downplay, but they don't really show what you actually are going through. People can have an idea on your up and down. So I went on my walk. I should have took you guys on my walk today. I probably will next time. I'm take you on my walk so you guys can see some of the therapeutic things that I do on a day-to-day basis, man. I'm gonna give this a little bit more. I'm gonna give it one more try, homie, and see what happens. And if nothing happens, then shit, oh well, it wasn't the right channel. But I feel like I can contribute. So be patient, tap in. It is what it is. I'm trying to think what else I got going today. So tomorrow I'll be in Chicago. So I'll be tapping in a little bit more, letting you guys see the PhD conference that I'm actually going to. Take you on my trip through Chicago. Post more and more content about it. Go through the airport of LAX. Try to record that. And hey man, this is where I'm at. This is what I'm doing. And more importantly, documenting being uncomfortable, right? Like, going into settings to where like I'll be probably one of the oldest guys there that's in my position, which isn't new. This is an all-black conference or the minority conference, so we'll see, right? My felony is different than somebody else's felony. I'm gonna tell you that right now. That's the thing. One of the things I did want to talk to you guys about is how is that possible? How's mine different than everybody else's, right? Because right now everybody's formally incarcerated. When we was doing you was a convict, and they judge the shit out of you. They judge you all the time. I mean, judge. Oh, you big and you black too? Oh man, what'd you do? Now that's the thing, but I see other people that are less as intimidating, did same stuff, but oh man, they're smaller in stature. They look a little bit different. They ain't the same color as me, but they're formerly incarcerated and their story's interesting. I've been telling my story for a minute, dog. So it's cool, right? So I'm gonna document all this stuff, man. Show you guys, not from a salty perspective, not from a jaded perspective, but just, hey, man, this is what's going on in my world. This is going on in my eyes. This is what I'm doing on a day-to-day basis, homie. F it. You know what I'm saying? I tried different things. Those things don't work. I got to constantly be adding. See what happens, man. See what happens, right? So lecture today, you guys going to sit in on that. You already been rocking with me for 30 minutes. We'll see. I'm sitting on this lecture. We'll talk about that. I've already did my midterm review for my retail class. In that class, we're talking about location, right? So location, location, location. It's a company called Cluck and Blaze out here that just shut down. I mean, brand new, build out, the whole nine, shut down. But like I told my students, I was like, you guys got to analyze what went wrong, right? If it's the right recipe, if it's the right staff, if it's the right concept, why did it fail on a really, really busy street? So when you analyze it, you look, the flow of traffic is the wrong way. The flow of traffic that flows in their favor, there's no sign on the back, so you can't see it until you pass it. The traffic that does see the sign, there's a barrier in between for them to turn left into the facility. It's not going to work. Several businesses have been in there, and a lot of times we have this thing, this belief system that we can make anything work, and it's not always the case, right? You got to do your research, look at it from a parameter standpoint, traffic flow standpoint, natural barrier standpoint, and factor all that in there. Why did the other business fail, right? So once we started doing that and start to analyze things and looking at leases a little bit different, not only looking at them from the address, but going on Google and doing a traffic flow. Which way is the traffic flowing? There was one place that we saw, was it Westwood or something like that. And as soon as you look at the picture, you see, like on the Google, not from the lease standpoint, but from the Google standpoint, you can see the curb is red. So no parking. So off the top, your customers can't park there, right? So when you look at locations, so we went through a whole exercise about looking at retail locations. They got a $250,000 budget in order for them to develop a retail establishment, sustainable. 5 points of sustainability. It could be people biking to work. It could be your lighting. It could be natural lighting. It could be door, whatever the case may be. So they got a $250,000 budget, man, and we've seen some amazing things over the last few years. So I'm excited to see what this takes place. So this, now we're talking about, like I said, I'm showing them a video Apple, and that's okay because we're almost done with it. And then we'll be getting into the lecture a little bit more. So thank you guys for that, for rocking with your partner. I certainly do appreciate that. And back to the lecture. Yeah, I don't know about this one. Yeah, I don't know about this one. And so when you guys look at Apple, yeah, they're the poster child of success of many products, but they're also the poster child of a lot of failures too, and of recent. And some of the criticism has come because they're saying, well, they've lost their way because where's Steve Jobs at, right? Tim Cook hasn't really produced much of anything, right? I mean, if you really look at it, there hasn't been much produced by Tim Cook. What the Apple Watch? Yeah, okay, all right. And they were supposed to produce this Apple Car, which is supposed to be amazing. But as you can clearly see, once you're not intentional with your strategy, whether it be retail, whether it be new product or whatever, if you're being more of a copycat or you're following, it's really easy to lose your focus. So for definition purposes, you'll see the product is a good or service. This is usually a tangible and also has intangible things that go along with that as well. So it is, when you think about the intangibles, that's what it does additionally. I haven't shown you guys the Century itself, but I usually offer it as extra credit. And what the Century itself talks about is how we move from more utilitarian-based type of purchases to more hedonic type consumption. And that means more of a feeling about the product, right? Because we used to be more just, hey, the product does X, Y, Z, I buy it, right? The car takes me from point A to point B, cool. But when we started bringing the hedonic version, okay, well, you need this type of car because it's going to make you feel like this in addition to taking you from point A to point B, right? Services are intangible, right? These are the things that you can't see. So services kind of is difficult. It's subjective in a sense, right? Because some people, especially when you're talking to millennials now, I did a quasi survey in my class and talked about them and said, hey, how do you guys feel about service? Do you feel like the person should speak to you when you walk into a build, things like that? That's just customer service, of course. And they were like, no, we're not really concerned with that. We're more of if they're attentive when we need them. And I'm like, okay, so this the behavior is shifting. And if the behavior is shifting, right, we really need to pay attention to that. But in addition to that, we have durable goods and non-durable goods and also ideas. So convenience products, the type of products that we have as consumers, we have convenience products. That could be your toothpaste, your gums. Those are usually priced kind of moderately. They're not necessarily expensive, but also they're usually convenience at C-stores, higher profit margins on those particular products. You have shopping products, which are a little bit more involved. Those are your products where you're looking at a TV, perhaps a washer and dryer. Those things are a little bit more involved, require you to do a little bit more thinking, generally a little bit more expensive. Specialty products. This is where brand loyalty comes in, right? You're looking for products that are specific. They require a level of search, right? These are your eBay items, things like that, to where you may be looking for, this is where I found our bus on eBay. Quite as it's kept, I was looking for a certain passenger bus, and it was there. I was like, okay, let me order it. Went up there and bought it, and et cetera, et cetera. So it requires a little bit of search and effort. It does do that, but it does really, really good if you're with products on eBay. I would say eBay. Unsought products are just that. These are things that you don't know about, and not necessarily one. It could be burial insurance. It could be insurance in general, right? Things that you may not necessarily know about or that you needed to know about. I didn't know I needed homeowner insurance. I didn't know I needed XYZ. So this is a comparison of looking at kind of a chart between the four different types of products. And when we look at brand loyalty, right, unsought products will accept substitutes. Specialty products, extremely brand loyal, right, will not accept substitutes. These are usually your Rolls Royces, your Rolex watches, etc., etc. So business products are a little bit different. This is where you'll hear the term B2B, business to business. Now, with business to business, I'll illustrate what Google Glass did. Now, Google Glass initially came out with products that were developed for consumers. They were selling $1,500 glasses that were invasions of privacy. They had digital readouts, but they weren't necessarily developed for the market at that time. Now, they were early too, right? They were ahead of their time. The market wasn't ready to pay $1,500, et cetera, et cetera. Now, they switched strategies and said, we don't need to reinvent the product. We need to develop a different market for this product. We need to develop a different audience for this product. And they went after the technology segment. And the technology segment made sense because Google Glass was an expensive item that a company could pay for, not a consumer. And the technical specs made more sense for somebody that was in perhaps engineering or somebody who couldn't necessarily use their hands but needed access to updated digital information. So they found that sector, and it made perfect sense for them. The companies can pay for it, write it off as taxes, et cetera, et cetera. What derived demand is, and you'll notice the next bullet point, is derived demand is based on when a demand is created based on people making purchases. So, for example, lithium batteries, right? Cell phones need lithium batteries. Electric cars need lithium batteries because it's the rechargeable element that makes batteries rechargeable. That technology. Well, the more cars we buy, the more cell phones we buy, the more demand is going to be on the lithium industry. So now they're mining, trying to find lithium because there's so much demand. So it created a whole nother industry just based on that demand. Components play a part in there. You talk Apple products, the glass parts that are involved in Apple, perhaps even the casing, right? These are all products in industries or products created by other companies that contribute to the manufacturing of another product. So support products like installations, accessory equipment, supplies, industrial services. Places like Grainger and Uline specialize in these products, and they actually can help you build other products. They're not really products on their own per se, but they're components that serve other products. So a product class or industry is just that, right? A product form exists within a product class. So for example, in this case, they're talking about music, recorded music. And there it was the CD, there was tapes, there was 8-track if I'm taking it back on you. But now there's MP3s, right? And you do have some people holding on to vinyl, but those are the components made up of that particular product class. Product item, usually called a SKU or a stock keeping unit, is a unique brand, size, and or shape. And what that means is if there's a particular item that you like the SKU. Say I got Levi's 501s in blue. Right now, you may have large, small, etc. Your stock keeping unit is going to be based on those details alone. Product line is a group of products or services that are closely related and satisfy needs and are used together. So a lot of times, so when you're looking at football, if you go to a Dick's or something like that, and you're looking at football equipment, you look at that product line, Rydell or whatever the helmet manufacturer may have pads that go along with that as well. And your product mix is a little bit different. Where, say for instance, a Pepsi has beverage lines, but their product mix is made up of snacks, cereal. I mean, not cereal, but it could be snacks, nuts, or whatever the case, or salty snacks, etc. Usually things that complement their beverage line. Coca-Cola's in the same line as well. So Crapola now called something different. What are they called again? They're called the Buy now, but they're basically, yeah, they're a company that makes. I don't even know why I shared this, but they're a company that makes. Matter of fact, I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna share that site because it's not relevant right now. So, yeah, exactly. So when you look at newness, how do we know whether a product is new? So let's use the example of, say for instance, Madden, right? Madden, any of the video games. What makes them new and different? What makes them an upgraded version? It's usually something really small, and it doesn't have to be a major whole structural change in order for it to be new. It could be just some addition, right? So technically, one, if the product is functionally different from the existing product, so perhaps the hit stick is different, perhaps the tackling button is different, right? Revolutionary newness can create new industries. So Apple smartwatch, speaker phones, things. I mean, yes, the speaker technology as well. Now, one of the problems too is this is one of the things that I would describe. I always say that, when you talk about feature bloating, and what feature bloating is basically when we put too much onto the phone. I mean, onto the product. Phones are a perfect example of that. There's so many different features in the phone, half of which we very well may not ever use in our entire life. But it has these functions and features, right? So when you think about a computer, Apple has different versions of their Mac, right? They have the iMac Pro and whatever the case. And you look on the features and details and also the functionality, the Mac Pro has capabilities specifically for creators. They'll ask you at Apple, hey, what are you using this for? What level are you at? Are you creating movies and videos? Okay, well, you probably need the iMac Pro, right? You need the computing power, you need the storage, you need all that stuff. You don't want to have too few functions, right? That's usually the most basic models of something, right? The entry levels. They usually strip the strip the features down, and I could be a downside too, right? I can afford it, I can get in the game, but I'm barely getting in the game, and now all the features are stripped down. Usually the strategy on that is they'll introduce that model later because they want to make their initial money, but they want to open up the market to those who may not necessarily need all these additional features or can afford all these additional features. Feature fatigue. Consumers choose overly complex products and can't figure the stuff out, right? And that was one of the problems with when you look at the Google Glass. It was too complicated for its time. So we have a few different things from a consumer's perspective. We have continuous innovation, dynamic continuous innovation, and then discontinuous innovation. So a few different ways that a product you could look at. Let's look at the definitions, right? So for continuous innovation requires no new learning by consumers, right? So this could be a new and improved deodorant, new and improved shaver. It doesn't require any learning. There's no learning curve there, right? Main thing is to gain your awareness and to increase distribution for the most part, right? We want to spread it to the people who may not necessarily like NyQuil, but they'll like the honey formula, right? If that makes sense. Dynamic continuous innovation disrupts the consumer's normal routine, but does not require you to learn something completely new. So it could be LED, it could be HD TV. You're already familiar with TVs, but you may not be familiar with the HD TVs. You put the points of difference in the ads and benefits to consumers so that they can do a comparison. Discontinuous innovation requires you to learn something completely new by consumption, It could be a digital car. It could be electric car. We had to learn that. My wife has one, so we had to go through that process of learning the electric car. And then you educate consumers, product trial, and through personal selling, and also through word of mouth. Now, that by law, you can only use new for up to 6 months. After that, it's no longer new. Some people try to extend it. They may put a new flavor or something like that. I would say the king of developing new products with the same items, Taco Bell. They're always creating something new, but it's basically ground beef, beans, and tortillas, right? For the most part. Product line extension. So you could do that as well. You can add a different feature. So perhaps if I'm going to continue with the example of the helmets, and they may get into the cleat game and start selling cleats as well. So protocol, for definition, statement before the product development begins. We're going to define the target market, specify the needs and wants. This is where a lot of times I think people make the mistake. They develop the product without considering the target market first. The target market is always first. You develop the product based on who you're targeting. You don't say, I'm going to develop a product and, oh, by the way, I'm going to target you guys. No. You already have the product built. And what you need is buy-in from your target market so you know who they are initially, right? What the product will be able to do to satisfy customers. So understanding whether it's from a utilitarian standpoint or from a hedonic standpoint, it's satisfying something. It's either going to make you get to work faster, or it's going to make you look good while you go to work. One of the three, right? One of the two, I'm sorry. So difficult to products to success in new products. It's a really, really difficult game. Most consumers buy the same 150 items consistently, which is the case. If you look at Whole Foods, a lot of these grocery stores, why do you think they're asking for your number? They're tracking your items. They're saying, okay, you buy the same mayonnaise, you buy the same ketchup, syrup, and they're really checking your brand loyalty. They're reporting this back to their manufacturers so that they know supply and demand. I get it. Less than 3% of consumer packaged goods exceed 1 year sales of 50 million. So you need a lot to be involved with that, right? One of the things that I really enjoy are the speaker technology, the Amazons and the Google. So marketing reasons for new product failures, insignificant point of difference. There was no reason to create it. Right? But the thing about when you look at the Roomba or things like that, conceptually, it makes sense. Oh, we got this automatic robot, but it's not fine-tuned. It's a pain in the butt if you don't have pets. It just scratches up your floors, etc., etc. Incomplete in market protocol. You didn't have the match right. You weren't aligning the target market's expectations or goals or needs with your product design. You jumped it before. You like, here's our product, shove it down your throat. Failure to satisfy consumer needs on critical factors. Again, this is a research-based question. You should have asked this from the beginning, right? What are your needs? What does this do for you? How have you used this in the past? This is why research is so important, and I always tell people all the time, I'm like, man, do the research first. Ask the questions first before you start building. Then you won't be in a position where you have a product that is not desired. And last of all, bad timing. The timing could be off. In Google's case, it was off. Apple Car, that may be a timing thing, right? That may be a timing thing. Once automation comes in more, to where you have these driverless technology, let Google figure it out, you kind of fall back and wait and say, okay, I'll take the technology once Google figures it out, because I can build the same type of technology. So that can happen. So let's not write off the Apple Car per se, and it may be a company car. That may be a car where they can switch strategies and say, we're going to focus on municipalities, cities, and government. F the consumer, right? We don't need the consumer because they're not ready for it. They're not ready to spend the money on it, and the technology's not there. Maybe military, right? Because a lot of fortunes have been made during wartime. So marketing reasons for new product failures continued. In this case, you see the hovercraft. Dangerous. It's dangerous off the top. Off the top, it's very dangerous. They were accessible. They were all over the neighborhoods, but people were busting their butts. Mike Tyson was on video almost breaking his back, right? No economic access to buyers. Poor execution of the marketing mix. Too little marketing attractiveness. Fidget spinners are another example. These are hovercrafts. Did I say fidget spinners? I mean hovercrafts. That didn't really have like, what was the purpose of it? It was cool, and I used to see people downtown with it all the time. Like, you guys are selling boxes of this stuff, and people are buying them. Like, this is a temporary wave, dog. Ride it as far as you can. So when we think about product failures, why it happens a lot of times because there's not somebody that speaks up and says this is a really stupid ass idea. Nobody says that. Everybody would just sit there and digest it, and a lot of times they'll adopt groupthink. Oh, that's great, trying to appease someone, right? And this has been proven in Malcolm Gladwell's book. Oh my God, I think the one I just read, The Outliers, and it was talking about how societies with high power distances, because they don't challenge usually authority or the person in charge, will let the plane crash like crazy, right? So avoiding the not invented here problem, another thing too. And then open innovation, practice using external ideas. So another video I'm going to show you guys really quick is on IDEO. And they have a pretty interesting process. Where in the world am I? Hold on. They have a pretty interesting process of going through ideas. And let me put this on. IDEO. Pretty cool because in this video you may have seen it before, but it's about the shopping cart and them reinventing the shopping cart. So it's like a little 8-minute video. Let me see. Hold on, let me share this with you guys, and I'll get with my other audience in 1 second. Share the sound. So look at the process, the way that they innovate, right? It's one of the more unique ways. The place in Palo Alto, California, if you're ever interested. All right, what's up, y'all? So yeah, y'all caught a little bit of that, man. What's up, Lewis? Appreciate you tapping in, homie. Appreciate that, man. So yeah, so in this particular case, we're talking about innovation. There's a video I'll show you to you guys real quick. Audio, I ain't gonna show it too long, but it's on IDEO. It's one of YouTube's products, so they should. I'll probably include the video in there as well. But basically, they're reinventing the shopping cart. They've been charged with this. They have to do it in so many days, and it's a pretty dope shopping cart. This is actually a really old video, but if you've been in the Amazon Fresh or any of the Amazon Fresh stores, it's similar to that design. It actually you can weigh stuff, but it's a pretty cool iterative process. Really trying to show the students on how. No problem, Lewis. I'm trying to show the students how you can innovate, right, and how some of these major companies innovate. IDEO, like I said, is up in the Bay, Palo Alto. If you've been up there. If not, see if you can schedule a tour. Go to Slide by Stanford as well. So yeah, man. Over the next few days, I will be in Chicago. I'll try to bring you guys as much as I can on the PhD conference so that you guys can see this stuff, man. As I'm going through it, take you on a trip once we go to the restaurant. Take you on a trip wherever I go, man. Just be like, man, this is what I'm up to, dog. I think this is good though. I want the homies to start tapping in for these lessons, man. Especially if I'm starting to do a lot of them online. I do some online. But I'll try to do more of them, or at least kind of bring you guys into class with me, and even perhaps even do it while I'm in class teaching as well, so you guys can see that, at least that, man. Oh, you live in the Bay? Okay, shout out to you, Dad, in Palo Alto, homie. A lot of good business stories coming out the Bay, though, man. A lot. The sugar factory, Ghirardelli, just the farming alone, between there and the Bay is something that I'm really interested in as well. So yeah, kudos to the Bay, man. I know you guys got other stuff going on right now, but that'll be fixed soon until we ain't tripping off of that. We still sliding, and we're not worried about that. But yeah, so they got a test on chapter 8, 9, and 10. So they got a 3-chapter test coming up pretty soon. So we're finishing up this chapter on new products and development, which is a hard thing. A lot of people. I got one student. Shout out to my boy Daniel, man. He's creating a pretty dope product. I can't say it. He just had me sign an NDA yesterday, but it's inspiring to see some of your young talent that the college is produce some amazing products. I can't wait to see it. And he went to um, a place called Makerspace and got his prototype done. It was dope how he went through the process. I'm not gonna give up too much game on my boy because I want to see him succeed. I want everybody to copy his ideas, but I do want you to copy his inspiration. He was determined. I remember him as being one of my early students. I was like, yo, man. But he gravitated and he started listening. And next thing you know, he's always had that entrepreneurial spirit. He ran a few ideas by me and a couple other professors as well. And now he's putting it in. That's the thing, dog. One step, even failure is sexy, dog. It's okay to fail. Like I've been failing all month, dog. Like all month, homie. But that's okay. I'm still here. Still here to tell about it. And I think that's the power in it. What God's doing for us, He's taking us through these messages and through all these tribulations, so that we can go tell other people about it and it'll be okay, so that they don't stop. Because once they stop, and once the belief stops, then it's over. It's a wrap. So my thing is inspire, share your stories of failure too, because those can be inspiration. I've been watching the dude, Honey Kettle. I got to share that video with you guys as well, man. This cat, Honey Kettle's in Culver City. Real dope fried chicken, but the story is amazing. He started off in Compton as their first franchisee of Golden Bird. If anybody ever heard of Golden Bird chicken, I got to get back to my lecture. Hold on. I'll tell that story in a minute. So I'll tell the story of my guy Golden Bird. All right, so you guys can see kind of how IDEO goes about their innovation process, which is unique, right? A lot different, not the average, right? So it's a creative process, no bosses, no real high-ranking person to kind of look down on you and your process. Really, really dope. So when we look at the vitality of a new product and when the opportune time to do it. So when you look at this, it says a good index is 20-30%. I don't know about that, but I guess so. But over the past year, index is falling below good. What should be done? Well, I think that there's products being created, right? When we look at Temu or whatever the app is. Now, what I will say is this: quality is diminished. The products aren't as good as they used to be, right? They don't last as long as they used to. Is that intentional design or what? That's a really good question, because if you intentionally design something to fail in a certain amount of time, it will create a market because they have to buy that product over and over again. So what are the 7 stages in the new development process? Number 1, new product development strategy. Period. 2, idea generation. So let's brainstorm. Let's put everything on the wall, see what sticks, right? See what everybody agrees with. Number 4, business analysis. So you want to analyze the business to make sure you're going to be profitable, make sure that you're in the right space, that there's enough market to sustain the development. And then also, this is where you're doing the research, or the R&D for the most part, research and development. This is where you perhaps are doing product testing. This is where you may get a prototype developed and built, right? We have 3D printing now. It's a lot easier. Then you want to test the market. You notice that Amazon, when they first released Amazon Fresh, or released the Amazon, the C-store format, they did it in certain markets. They didn't do it in every market. They did it in the larger markets to see what the potential was, right? The smaller suburban markets will usually mimic larger markets, but in order for us to get a real true test, we have to do it in a larger market. And then finally, the commercialization. So the new product development process consists of a SWOT analysis: strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, right? Strengths and weaknesses, those are internal. As a company, what are our strengths? Do we have a good process? Do we have a patent on a product that doesn't exist in the market? Are we creating an entire new market, right? Then we need to look at environmental scanning. Environmental scanning is extremely important. What laws are changing? How are consumers' behaviors and tastes changing? We look at the vape laws, right? If you were in the vape industry, you got bamboozled. It came out of nowhere. All of a sudden, you couldn't sell flavored tobacco, no vaping. Law changed just like that. And if you weren't paying attention, say, for instance, you were, somebody, oh, man, I'm going to get into the industry. Oh, I'm going to get into the industry. And somebody said, man, I'll sell you my store. They're like, oh, perfect. I found me a sucker that wasn't paying attention. because he wasn't watching the market. You didn't know that the law changed. You weren't paying attention. That's why environmental scanning is so important. Protocol and strategic role defined. Get that down packed. Know who your target market is and the reasons why they would want to buy this product. Utilitarian and hopefully hedonic as well. Disruptive innovation can occur. We've seen that, right? Where that can take place to where you break and I would say Uber was probably falling in that category, but at the same time, Uber has their own sets of problems. I think they initially developed the idea, and it broke a lot of the traditional molds and holds over things. But at the same time, it was the way they were designed. They weren't profitable at that time, and the way they had things set up, a lot of discount codes, etc. We'll talk about that later, though. So idea generation is just that, open innovation, as in with the IDO. Suggestions from friends and employees. You can do crowdsourcing as well, as in what Lay's did, where they got a lot of their chip ideas from their customers, right? This is where buy-in is so critical and takes place, right? If you get the consumer to help you cook, of course they're going to want to eat their own food, right? And they're going to tell everybody about it and become evangelical about it and brag and, hey, this is the best thing since sliced bread, right? Even though pods are a bad idea. I'm just telling you right now. Research and development, industrial design. This is what you'll get. IDOs, outside labs do this. There's a lot of different labs that will help you come up in concept and also on down to actual physical prototype. IDO is one of them. Albeit a little bit more expensive, but, competitive products, non-traditional firms. Universities have a lot of patents. I don't think people know that universities hold patents to a lot of technologies, right? Do your research, because students will create something and it'll be under the umbrella of of education, and the universities will hold the patents. They have USC, all these, they got patents on a lot of dope stuff. You'd be shocked. I'm telling you. So don't be afraid to ask and dig if you're perhaps in need of ideas and or looking for something that you can get behind and invest in. Crowdfunding. This is a Pebble smartwatch. I think that they crowdfunded for this. Now, crowdfunding can be tricky because you can offer people a product and it hasn't been proven. You may come up with a concept or a design or even a physical prototype, but it hasn't been tested in terms of functionality, in terms of shelf life, etc. So screening evaluation. It's just that. Process imagine the customer experience within the company. There's a book called The Journey to Wow, which is a really good book that talks about the customer experience. So customer experience management is the process of managing the entire experience with the company. So that's not only just the in-store experience. It could be the online, the return process, the initiation process, your first interaction. All those things are part of that initial customer screening evaluation. So again, this is Google Glass. They're bringing it up. Prototype sold 8,000 qualified glass explorers. This is where they introduced the market. So they introduced it to 8,000 qualified glass explorers, usually probably technology influencers. Incomplete product testing. Quote unquote glass holes. People calling people glass holes, right? So these glass holes took 2 years, closed, done. New version enterprise being tested for use for tech workers in 2019, and they're $4,000. So they went a little cheaper and focused on a better market who can afford it. So business analysis is the fourth stage. So you want to look at new product process, specify the features of the product, marketing need to bring it, and the financial projections. Like you have to predict on who you think is going to buy this particular product. Business fit a new product, financial projection, and big data analytics, and obviously AI. Use it as much as you can. Mark Cuban said if you're not using AI, you're going to eventually go away anyways. So development is a stage where you actually turn the paper into a prototype. So again, I mentioned makerspace. You could even look at your engineering departments on your own campuses. They may serve as a resource for you as well. Market testing, you want to do you could do standard market testing, controlled market testing, and then stimulated. When you control the test market, you may do A and B testing. You may do male and female test. You may want to test one particular iteration of that product. So commercialization, this is where you actually, I'll just put that up there, where it actually position launches new product, full scale production. So you're already bought in. So in this case, they talk about the Boeing 787 experienced significant technical problems even after testing, and they still having problems. Just FYI. French fries showed a complex project. The product was too complicated to get consistently right. I think they got the fries right now, and that will be that. So if I do assign this case, I will let you guys know, but that will conclude our lecture. Do not forget, you have your exam on that day. And I will more than likely give you the exam for the second half of the day. I will see. But you have the exam on Thursday, which will be the 28th. All right? Have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you. All right, y'all. So that was my lecture for today. We'll see what's happening, man. But yeah, man, good times. No complaints. Looking forward to more of these intimate sessions, man. I'm trying to bring you guys without just having to be official or anything like that. Just kicking back, showing you guys what I'm doing. It's about Scantrons, though. Get your Scantrons up. It's about Scantrons, homie. So we educating today, man. We'll be in Chicago in the next few days, man. Tap in, please do. Make sure you hit the subscribe, man. I'll go live again. Stay tuned. Coming up soon. Yeah, that.